what's the first thing you remember when your family came to Carmel?
Oh, let's see. What did I remember when I first came to Carmel? It was so different from Connecticut and getting established, but it was very friendly. We were at Sunset School. My sisters went through Sunset from the time of kindergarten. We're 2.5 years difference in age, but 3 academic years. So all the time that I was a senior in college or high school, she was a freshman. So I remember they were small classes. Sunset was very much the center of our lives, just whether it was being taught music, whether it was, as my sister will tell you, the Audubon Club, which got her interested in birds, and it was just a wonderful, very casual time. I don't remember much about what we left in Connecticut, but I do, but the memories of Carmel are all very positive. It was a very different time at that time. Well, my favorite teacher at Sunset would be hard to pinpoint. There were so many that were memorable. We were a very small, even graduating from high school, we had, I think our class was 60 people graduating from high school. So they were very small classes. And John Farr was the music teacher. He got me interested in music, and my aim was to play in the Bach Festival. I didn't quite make it, but I did play in a Bach recital at the Women's Club across the street. I did play in the San Francisco Symphony one summer. And then Miss Jordan taught us all about, we had to play roles in various countries of the world. We had to make costumes, and for that, I remember pounding out Coca-Cola bottle tops to make a necklace because we were from Guatemala. We were doing Guatemala. There were our English teacher, Mrs. Davis, and history repeats itself. But I stopped a couple of people throwing things down the bank when I was mayor, the bank at the beach, and one thing led to another, and it turned out that the woman I was speaking to was the granddaughter of our English teacher, Mrs. Davis. So you just never know when people seem to keep coming back to Carmel. We had Mrs. Bray, who put on plays. I discovered in looking through my photographs that I had played the role of a mayor in a play. When I have no recollection of the play, but I'm sitting in a costume that is made out of somebody's mop that's hanging down, a pillow in my tummy, and obviously somebody's drape as a cape, and I have a staff. I have no recollection of the play or what we did, but we put on Chinese plays and all kinds of plays under Mrs. Bray. But the real memorable teacher, it was our high school teacher, Enid Larson, who was probably the world's authority on crayfish. But she was the type of person that you make fun of because she was not an attractive woman, and she walked like Jacques Toctou, a French actor, on the balls of her feet and sort of leaning forward. And when she came to Carmel High, we had not much in the way of science courses, and she was going to teach biology. We had never had a biology course. We had chemistry. And when we went into class, there were no books. And people said, well, where are the textbooks? And she said, you're going to write the textbooks. And she gave everybody a 3-ring binder full of paper, blank paper. And she said, science doesn't answer why questions. So if you ask me, why does the sun shine? I'm going to tell you that you have to find out, write why it happens, and teach that to the rest of the class. And so that was her way. And athletes who were never interested academically took 3 years of biology. Those of us who did, some of us ended up being her teaching assistant. We put on a science fair. I mean, she was written up in Reader's Digest as the most memorable teacher for that year. So it was quite a stimulating academic experience. And about that time, the high school was finished being constructed, and the 8th grade was moved up to the high school, and my parents were adamantly opposed to to us being up in the high school. They just felt that wasn't right. So my sister was sent to Santa Catalina, and it had just opened, and I managed to live through the high school. But at that point, the whole Pebble Beach crowd in Carmel was very much integrated, and Bing Crosby was around with his kids and so forth, and there were black tie parties when we were in the 8th grade, and that my parents just felt we needed a normal childhood, so that was why they were so concerned about the 8th grade being up at the high school. And I must say that my class, most of it, we only had one new person in our senior year come here, and we had been people who'd gone to school for years together, and we were 60. I think 12 of my graduating class were admitted to Stanford. They didn't all go, but one of our classmates' father was the chef out at Pebble Beach, and so much to the horror of the staff, the faculty, for our last lunch together in the cafeteria at the high school, they saw Chris Van Pesky rolling out sheets of foil on the table, and then he brought out all the makings for crepe Suzette, and he had a little stove, and here he was cooking like his father had showed him. So we had crepe Suzette for our lunch in high school as our final lunch there, courtesy of the chef from Pebble Beach.